You're watching From the Shadows with special guest V from the Red Pill Hardcore Show.
Brought to you by anonymous TruthSec. Join us as we discuss some of the ways this world is broken. Join us as we invite the truth into our lives. Lives which until now have been blind. Join us as we bring you the truth from the shadows. We are not meaningless. We are not going away. We are anonymous. We are legion. We can forgive. We do not forget. You should have expected us.
From the Shadows Show, and we have our guest tonight is V from Red Pill Hardcore. V's been on my radio show before. It's the first time we've had him on the video show, but really looking forward to conversation. Did you get a chance to watch that video that I put up there?
No, I didn't get a chance to do so. Scrounging around with my own technical difficulties on this end.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they worked out. I don't know what the deal was.
I have my cameras. I have my cameras on the recording just to document the electronic harassment, because I have cyber bullies. I have a program on me that's called Active Persistent Threat. Doesn't matter where I am in the world. I have these intelligence agencies hacking my signals, trying to censor me and what I'm saying. So
when you were on the radio show, it really messed us up too.
Yeah. We hardly made it through that episode.
Yeah, but it's all good. We're gonna make it work. What the video is it's a cell phone video from the shooting in Vegas, and it starts off as a cop standing out on the street and explaining to reporters, for people that have cell phone videos and such, that to turn them in. And then it goes to a cell phone video and a guy runs up on the street, runs up and just starts firing an automatic weapon in the crowd. And he claims that he's a cop. He's not in a uniform, of course, but it claims he's a cop, and he does have a gun in the back of his trousers, you know. So, but, you know, that could be in front of a green screen. It could be a lot of things. So I'm a little leery of it until I find out more about it. But it is interesting. There's a lot of really interesting stuff about that shooting. A lot of conflicting stuff about it. You know, they leaked the picture of the shooter after he killed himself. He was laying in his hotel room, and they leaked the picture of that. I got the picture, but the shooter has a 13 tattooed right on the front of his neck. It's not on the guy's neck in that picture of the guy laying on the floor. So I'm really curious about that one.
I don't know the details of that. Basically, what I like to do is I like to let the hype die down.
Yeah.
You know, and let all the facts come forward, and then I'll talk to an expert on it. I'm an expert in analysis, and I have government agent spies, turned whistleblower, who are excellent analysis, who will talk with me on these issues. So we'll see. But so far, from the start, it smells like total BS. It is false flag written all over it.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, I called that the first night when they started off with the biggest shooting in history, and like that. You know, every one seems like nowadays is the biggest one in history. Of course, I think they're forgetting about Wounded Knee and some things like that. They don't count it when the government does it. So, you know, so I don't know, but I had some real questions about it as it was happening. Of course, you can't really say for sure without any evidence what it is, but it does show all the signs of a false flag. There are some people even questioning whether it happened. I'm not one of those. I do believe it happened. I've heard from people that were there personally and said that there were bodies laying everywhere. So I believe it really happened. But, you know, to be a false flag, and that's something a lot of people need to understand, because a lot of people don't understand it. False flag doesn't mean it's fake. False flag means that they did it under the disguise of someone else doing it for some political or some other purpose. Like with 9/11, for example.
When 9/11 happened, I mean, over 3,000 people died, and we all know that was, a false flag, so that they can take over $6 trillion worth of our money that has stolen, put it into a control grid, and gear up for war. I mean, this control grid, the NSA received billions of dollars of computer servers overnight in these underground bunkers, these underground bases, these fusion centers. Fusion centers popped up everywhere. We got drones flying around, stingrays. Everyone is being monitored from every kind of direction you can think of. From your Wi-Fi, giving the geolocation, sort of like a infrared view of the inside of your home. This Wi-Fi does echolocation. It's not the exact term, but I'm just putting into a term someone can understand. You know what's inside your home at all times. They know who's inside your home. They have millimeter wave technology that they can put into these spy drones, these UAV police drones. Millimeter wave technology that can look right through your walls. They can monitor how your breathing rate, your heartbeats. So I mean, they can count how many people are in your homes. All the way to these satellites doing remote neural monitoring. Because we've all breathed in the chemtrails, ladies and gentlemen. These nanoparticulates have laced your brain, laced your nervous system, laced your neural pathways. We are all living microchips for them to
Exactly.
query at any time. And people don't understand this.
They can even, I understand they can even, the metal strips that's in the money. There's like a gold colored strip in the money. It's my understanding that they have a device they can drive by a house and actually count the money in the house. That's amazing.
Yes. There's no privacy whatsoever. It doesn't exist anymore. That's why I've been pushing this anonymous thing. In order for us to truly be anonymous again, we all need to come to the understanding that none of us have privacy, and we need to work back towards getting that.
Right. And computer security perfect computer security is a myth. It doesn't exist.
Does not exist.
The CIA, WikiLeaks showed us what the CIA could do, and that's just a sampling. I'm sure there's much more that we don't know about yet. So
I can tell you, I've done this. I bought computers, took them right out of the box. As soon as I hooked them up to my internet service, or any internet service that is associated with me, boom, I've got these people rooting stuff in my motherboard, in my BIOS. Launching programs pop up before my operating system loads up. When I'm doing my shows, or processing my shows, if I'm not physically there to look at the screen, look at my task manager, look at the processes, look at the performance monitor, see what programs are popping up, if I walk away, these people will get into my console host and start hacking and sabotaging whatever I just recorded.
Yeah, and we're not even doing anything illegal. Imagine if we were crooks, They're not really concerned about that,
No, we're honest people, and honest people are a threat. Let's see, if we were crooks, we would be making the money, and they'd have leverage over us. They can put us in the slammer whenever they want to, but you and I, actors like us, we are actually good people, law-abiding, and we are awakened, and we see the truth, and they don't like that. That's not a part of their program.
Right, exactly. And we not only see the truth, but we have this thing about us, this conscience that makes us think that other people ought to know the truth also. The people that are out there that are ignorant of the truth need to be made aware of it. Because ignorant doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you don't know something. You haven't been exposed to it or whatever. It doesn't. I'm not calling anybody stupid, but there are a lot of people out there ignorant to what's going on. Some because they want to turn a blind eye. Some just haven't woken up. Just haven't bought into it yet. It's getting harder and harder. I know to just stay asleep. It really is. It's kind of like you're sleeping and the dog's barking in the other room. You just get, it's hard to stay asleep. And there's just so much coming to light. And, we were talking about 9/11. It's, they slipped a thing on us called the Patriot Act. And the fact that it was a false flag is demonstrated real well in the fact that Patriot Act was already written when 9/11 happened. But they couldn't get it through. After 9/11, we would accept it then.
Absolutely. And just to mirror what you just said, to validate what you just said, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Rex 84.
I've heard of it, yes.
Rex 84 was a plan written up, I believe it was either by Reagan or Carter. I can't remember at this point. Sorry, I've been up for a while. But it was a plan written up for an executive order to imprison all African Americans in the country if there was a nationwide natural disaster. Okay.
Unbelievable.
And then it was changed later on to include Latinos, all Hispanics. Rex 84, people look it up. And this is still into play. When you look at Katrina, the weather warfare that's going on, you hear about what happened to Katrina. Katrina hit Louisiana, the poorest part of the country, the largest black population, and something that people don't understand is that there was martial law that went on there. 5,000 blacks, African Americans, were executed without due process. No trial, no anything. Just executed. Nobody knows.
They're going to say that you're crazy and that didn't happen, but I have news for them. I've heard those stories, not just from Louisiana. I've heard it from Texas. I've heard it from a lot of things. We're having a big problem down there with Puerto Rico right now. They got hit by one of them, and it's really messed up down there. You'll hear on the news that there's a lot of supplies. There are containers full in San Juan. Well, that's part of the story. San Juan is doing fair. But the rest of the country, the roads are torn up. They can't distribute that stuff in those containers. It's going to sit there till it rots if we don't get somebody in there to do something about it. I did a show yesterday, went live on Facebook with a couple of people that are going down there with a team to try and fix some of it, just for one small area. And they're taking names of loved ones if you haven't heard from them. I've got a good friend down there. 2 days ago, I got a call from him, finally. He was going to call me right after the storm passed. He never got through. There was no communication. He said him and his son are just about starving to death. They can't get enough water. They can't, and this is out in the country, and he was like 3 blocks from the shore. Lost his whole house, everything else. It's terrible. I've got a fundraiser going to try and help him out, and nobody wants to help because people are leery of that kind of thing. There's too many ripoffs going on. And I understand that, but, we can't just not help somebody either. This is an Anon. He's been an Anon for a long time. And he's helped a lot of people. It's time to help him, we've got some terrible stuff going on. And this, what you're talking about him going in and killing people, we heard that with Katrina, too. And it's actually been documented with Katrina that happened. It saves them a lot of money to put a bullet in you instead of try you and convict you and put you away. They just because somebody did something illegal, that's not an excuse to go kill them. We don't give out the death penalty for shoplifting or for looting or whatever. We don't give out the death penalty for those kind of crimes. And that's not okay. So, you're absolutely right about
and so that sort of thing, this Rex 84, is written up. It is something that can go into effect at any time. So that's why these FEMA camps are everywhere. That's why, Texas was hit, and this is, again, I'll say weather warfare. Texas is your biggest Republican gun-toting, state in the union. I'm from Texas. I can tell you, we love our guns.
It's almost a nation itself. It really is.
Texas is the only state in the union that can cut itself off and have all resources and be just as rich as the rest of the United States was. We have oil, coal, gas. We have all the geographical regions the rest of the country does. It's large enough. It is the richest state in the union.
Yeah.
So they know that with this totalitarian government that's clamping down on everybody, Texans, our attitude is, you want our guns, come get them.
Yeah.
And so the only way to really do that and not start a war and have them separate from the Union, not to have all of our civilian militias run into play, is to hit them with weather warfare. Nobody understands that weather warfare exists. Not
and if you say the government sent that hurricane in there, people look at you like you're crazy, and they know that. And that's part of the strategy is nobody will listen to you. Nobody will believe it until it's too late.
Correct. It's all a psyop. One giant psyop.
And really what we're seeing in a lot of ways with this, the hurricanes, the martial law, the FEMA, the fact that they're rounding up homeless people and they don't know where they're being taken, things like that, the homeless shopping carts all herded together and nobody around them. Those people don't get very far away from those carts. There's something not right with that picture. And all of these things, we're looking at Agenda 21 beginning to be carried out. That's what we're doing. We're now called 2030. But we're looking at it being carried out.
Well,
starting.
And I'm sorry not to cut you off, but it's Agenda 21 all the way, but we as a people need to fight psyop with counter psyops. Okay, they want to have these false flag, harassed people, these targeted individuals, go off and kill a whole bunch of people, and they'll say, "Hey, guns are dangerous. We don't want you to have them." But I'm going to tell you, if guns are dangerous, I mean, you're 18 times more likely to be killed by a street cop than any terrorist attack. These police shoot people indiscriminately. They get suspended with pay, and they get to come back to the force a hero.
Mm-hmm.
They're carrying out this genocide. These militarized police. We don't have a real police force anymore. We have standing army.
Yeah, and that's a violation of posse comitatus right there. Just the fact that they're militarized is a violation of it.
It's a violation.
You can't have a military force operating in the state. And so they create a military force instead of sending the military in. That's a military force still. It's still a violation. And, you talk about these guys saying, "Come get our guns." That might sound radical to some people, but stop and think about it. Throughout history, when a nation has taken the guns away from its people, it has always been followed by genocide.
Genocide.
Always.
Correct.
So when they come to your door and they want your weapons, I would say the only right thing to do is shoot them, because that has to be considered self-defense. You have to think that if the government wants to take away your weapons, they're intent on killing you. That's what history proves. And so you can't blame anyone. Right, and so you can't blame anyone. I'm not somebody who's into guns, wholeheartedly or anything. I don't like for guns to be shown in these memes with the mask. Okay? I don't like that at all, because that misrepresents Anonymous. I don't like it. But that doesn't mean that Anon doesn't have a right to have a gun safe in his house and have the guns to protect himself. The Second Amendment is there for a reason. And as long as it's used right, there's nothing wrong with a gun. It's a good thing, not a bad thing.
And where I was getting at was, we have these shootings and whatnot, but in the event of a shooting, if there's a shooter and a whole bunch of people get killed, you might as well look at that as a natural disaster. Just like this weather warfare. If there's a shooting, I want a gun so I can kill the shooter. If old Granny has a 38 in her purse, she sees a guy going berserk, she should drop that man. It should be anyone's responsibility to drop that man or woman, whoever's going berserk. We need more guns. We need more guns. Nobody would do any kind of shootings or robbing if everyone else is around them. You're always going to be outgunned. No one would be stupid enough to do that.
Right.
And so we need more guns, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's no difference for me if there's a shooter, I'm going to defend myself. If there is a natural disaster that happens and the government wants to come through and take my guns, yeah, they're going to have to, it's going to be a shootout. Okay? Yeah. That needs to be the mentality for everyone because you're going to be defenseless against looters, robbers, rapists. You know, there's so many illegals in the country. You know, just about anybody can get away with this stuff.
Or the worst thing of all, your government. You know,
Worst of all, government.
You know that you have to throw that into that mix of bad things. You know, of boogeymen that come and get you. You know, the government has to be thrown into that mix because, well, they failed us and they know they have, and I think they're wanting to take their guns away from us because they know what the Second Amendment is for. You know, after there's a school shooting, you hear some congressman say, we need to take the guns away. Nobody needs an M16 to hunt deer. No, they don't. I agree. But the Second Amendment's not about hunting deer. It's about hunting politicians. And if you're hunting them, an M16 is what you need because that's what they got. So, you know, and they know that we have the right to overthrow our government. People always have that right at their will. You know, there's no guidelines given or anything. It just says that, you know, you have the right to rise up and replace them. It should be used sparingly, yes, but the people have that right.
It's time, my friend. I know that people have this weak-minded mentality of, oh, well, the government is here to protect us, and they would never do anything like that. But understand something. You got to look at this objectively. Under martial law, when these things happen, under martial law, you have no rights.
That's right.
So if you're in a detention center, well, okay, let me go even deeper. Have you ever been to a prison? Do the prisoners have any rights?
No, they don't.
Ask yourself this question. So think twice on the whole. Well, the government's here to protect us. Prison guards are in prisons to protect the prisoners from each other. Do we see any of that happening?
But most of those prisoners are in there for having a plant that they've deemed illegal. That doesn't harm anybody, and it helps a lot of people. And they've deemed it illegal. And that's what a lot of these guys are in there for. You know, I'm not for violent overthrow of the government, only because I don't think it's possible at this point with the type of weaponry that they have. But there is a way to overthrow the government without firing a shot, and it's not that difficult. It's happened throughout history with even the worst dictatorships in the world, the most brutal dictatorships. When the people rise up en masse against the government falls. It happens every time because the power lies with the people, always.
Always.
Power lies with the people. And so, and you know, you talk about we need government. We got to have, you know, I happen to be an anarchist myself, and I don't think we do need government. I think even if you don't think we could do that good of a job ourselves, we could do better than the government's doing. And people say, well, first argument they'll have is, well, who's going to build the roads and the schools and the hospitals? And the answer is the same people that build them now. They'll just do it better and cheaper because the government's not in the way. I mean, we would have nobody ripping us off for our taxes, which are illegal to begin with. You know, I mean, income taxes is a big joke. They're illegal. There's no law that authorizes Internal Revenue Service to come and take part of your money that you earned. That's protected under the Constitution. And you know, our country has gotten so far away from what it's supposed to be. And people talk about how America's the freest country in the world. I hate to tell you, but no, it's not.
No.
You know, it's just not. And we are slaves. We're slaves to debt. And we had a guy arguing yesterday about he wasn't a slave. We might be, but he's not. He's free and he can do whatever he wants. And I told him, I said, the worst slave of all is the one who thinks he's free. Because you're not. I mean, unless you can overcome all of these hurdles that they put up for us, and I don't know anybody that has, you're a slave. You might be able to get out of this part of it or that part of it, whatever, but they get you coming and going, you know? And we all work for them and enrich them, and that's how you get these Rothschilds that have $500 trillion, because it's all a stacked debt.
Well, I'll tell you what, some way, you want to talk about rising up and fixing what's wrong. I mean, I've got a campaign going on right now, and I'll start by telling you about it, by prefacing the fact that people don't understand. In the United States, there's not 3 branches of government. There are 4. The unspoken, uncredited form of government is media. Okay? That's why the CIA, with their Operation Mockingbird, wanted to seize news media. Want to seize the television. Okay? This is your the flow of information. Controlling the flow of information is the very definition of mind control. That's the base definition. So you have media, and we are all swayed and put in this direction, that direction by the information we hear on the news. Now, courtrooms. I have a campaign going on. Well, I'm going to be starting, really. I've been talking about a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and start it. A campaign called Media in the Courtroom. You have all these people being railroaded, having their children taken away from them by these pedophiles who want to throw children into these child sex rings. Mm-hmm. And these people who are just getting railroaded, getting screwed, and they have these gag orders. Gag orders. Now, I mean, I can understand some proceedings having to do with, military or corporations, internal issues, gag orders. They have their, need to know scenarios, but not when it comes to the average civilian, any civilian. Right. The gag orders are unconstitutional. I've got several people coming to me all the time, telling me about their issues. Okay, well, come on to the show. Let's expose it. Well, no, I have a gag order. You can tell them to go to hell with that gag order, because if you don't get the story right now, you're going to get railroaded. And 9 times out of 10, these people get railroaded. They get their children taken from them. They get their money taken from them. They get something taken from them, their freedom, because they would not go and talk about it to the media and have public record for the world to understand. Now, there needs to be cameras in the courtroom, media, independent media, mainstream media, cameras in the courtroom. These
alternative media as well, yes.
Yes. Yeah, should just go to, unless all parties in cases consent to, no cameras. I mean, that's one thing. If you want to have a private session, that's fine. But if you request media and have your case documented by the media, that should be everyone's rights. First Amendment. We're talking about the Second Amendment. Everything starts with the First Amendment. We need to have the open flow of information.
Exactly.
So I want to get with all my media friends and contacts and try to have this campaign going. We got to get some laws changed. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to see pedophilia come to an end? I'm going to tell you right now, we'll knock out 80% of it just by having cameras in the courtrooms, in these family courts. That's 80% of it right there.
And the argument might be made that you can't trust the media, and that's the reason to put the alternative media in there too. It'll make them honest. They'll get scooped by the alternative media if they don't tell the story.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we kind of saw that this past election. We saw what the alternative media can do, and it played a huge role in that campaign, and for the presidency. We played a big role. All of us did, and I think it probably was the deciding factor. I know it was if you throw Julian Assange into the mix, because he really had an effect on it himself. But combined with the alternative media, the real story, the truth got out there, and we had to pick between the worst of two evils is what we had to do, basically. And that's the choice we've had for a long time. The lesser of two evils. And that's why I quit voting, is because of that. When you vote for the lesser of two evils, you cast your vote for evil. Might be the lesser evil, but it's still evil, And
yes.
And we gotta quit doing that. We gotta tell we're not gonna play with this rigged game. We're not gonna be involved with it. You're not gonna say that. Well, we approved it, because if enough of us quit voting, then they don't have a majority. Period, and they can't have a legitimate election.
And there's always some puppet, Illuminati. I hate using that word, the Illuminati. These Illumitards who, the establishment who puts some puppet in place. Each one of these presidents, I'm telling you, has connections. No, I would rather have, I'd rather vote for my old high school janitor for president. I know that guy was a good guy. No conflict of interest, doesn't own big oil companies, doesn't have lots of money in children's charities, which ends up being child trafficking rings, and, on down the line, there's always a conflict of interest as to why these people should not be put in the office.
Mm-hmm.
If you got large amounts of money and you go into a political office, I'm going to tell you, greed begets more greed. They're going to look at ways to get their pockets even bigger, because they like the adrenaline rush, that flow, that big money making, that big drop. And these are essentially drug addicts, drug addict mentality. They got to get a bigger hit. They got to get a bigger, and that's why all these crimes that these criminals, these political charlatans, it's perpetuation. And it's always going to be worse. We need someone grassroots in any political office, or regular average Joe.
And see, the people have the power to fix it, because the people can just say, you know what, we're fed up with it. And a lot of people are beginning to be fed up with it. A lot of people. And they just have to say, you know what, we're not taking part in it no more. We're going to hold our own election. We're going to elect our own guy president. You guys can see which one gets recognized. We could actually do something like that. And if you have the vast majority of the people standing with you, it'll fly. If you don't, of course, you're going to look like idiots, but something's got to be done. I mean, we're done if we don't do something. This country is done. It's not just America. It's all over the world. Governments all over the world are mocking the U.S. or imitating the U.S.
Yes.
Because
yes.
It works.
Yes.
So
I'll tell you, Americans, time is running out. You got GMO foods, destroying so much of you. These are later effects too. Some of these effects from this GMO food won't be seen till the next generation or the generation after that. I know with the rats that they tested the GMO foods on, third generations were sterile.
And the GMOs are the tip of the iceberg too. I mean, there's
it's just
so
the tip
much.
of the iceberg. You got the fluoridated water, you got the chemtrails in the air, and I've already spoken on what the purpose of that is for. America, join your local civilian militia. You need to come up with a game plan. That's my advice.
Yeah, it's good advice. I mean, I don't go along with the idea of a violent revolution because, like I said before, I don't think it'll work. But that doesn't mean there shouldn't be any revolution. Because if we use our heads, and people are smarter and smarter every day, if we use our heads, doesn't even matter how smart they are. If we get enough people convinced that that's the right way to go, it will work, and it won't have to be violent.
But that's the thing. People are enslaved by their comforts. Try to pry some away from their computer, from Facebook, from their McDonald's, their wage slave job, and try to watch mind control idiot box television just to try to escape the pain of life. And there's every psychological pitfall. It's almost impossible to take care of a household anymore from one income.
Difficult with two incomes, actually. It's getting to a point where it's difficult with two.
So it's just like you said. These people think they're free, but they're not. And so down the line, I mean, there is a way to have another revolution, another type, and that's to stop putting money in these people's pockets. Exactly. We can, I'm going to tell you the level of greed these people have. These billionaires who count pennies. If everyone in America just said one day, we're not going to work. And I mean, everybody, nothing operates.
It would get their attention.
That would at least get some people's attention. Politicians,
Absolutely.
well, the politicians' corporate masters.
Right, exactly.
Look at those people. What's their issue? Whatever it is, solve it. And so now imagine a week of that or a month. Everyone just stayed home for a month. Stock up on your food, stock up on your water. Everyone stay home for a month and see what happens.
Yeah. And what you're talking about is very, very brilliant, really. Woody Harrelson talks about it. He says, vote with your wallets.
Really?
Vote with your wallet. Because you don't like GMOs, okay, don't buy the GMOs. Make sure you're not buying them. And then the GMO companies, the ones producing it, won't have a choice. If they want to survive, they have to quit making them. Because the free market works. And, free market principles are not bad. What's bad, and you can have this problem in any type of system, what's bad is the greed. The greedy billionaires. Being a billionaire is not necessarily a bad thing all in and of itself. Most of them are greedy because, greed gets you to a place like that. So, but it's the greed itself that's the problem. When you have somebody like the Rothschilds that have $500 trillion, how many people are starving so that they can have all that money hoarded away?
Exactly.
Inequality. And they keep us fighting each other. They don't want us to unite. So they keep us fighting each other by dividing us along every line they can think of, whether it be Christian and Jew, rich and poor, white and black. It doesn't matter. We don't have any problems. There isn't a problem. Let's take the white and the black, for example. There's no problem between us that warrants us fighting over anything.
Absolutely.
You cut my hand in your hand, we bleed the same as anybody else does. We put our pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. We're no different. What the difference is the part of the earth that your ancestors came from and how much sun they were exposed to. That's the difference. That's nothing.
Even today, I'm surrounded by ignorant people who would disagree. Oh, my ancestry, oh, my crest, and you're gonna cut off your roots and da 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 da. It's like, look, your shield is not going to protect you. Your coat, your coat of arms doesn't mean anything to anybody. I mean, unless you're Mr. Rothschild or one of the 13 Illuminati families. Most of the people that think that way today have lost most of their inheritance throughout the years. It's too many of you. Not everyone in the family can have the family wealth. These people, the sick mentality. My family is special because, da 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 da. We're a bunch of engineers, da da da. Well, I'll tell you what. My ancestors were the best engineers in the world. Okay. But again, we're all the same, and it's just this separatist mentality.
Exactly.
Elites, elite, middle class. I
can remember when elite was a positive thing. When they used the word elite about something, it was a positive thing. Today, it's not. Today, elite is a dirty word. It really is a dirty word, and. If you want to divide somebody, if you want to divide somebody, divide the elites from the rest of us, because they're creating a problem. They really are. I mean, they're the very ones who think that it's okay to kill off 6.5 billion people. And that's not okay. It's not, by any measure, any standard, it's not okay. You have to be an idiot, crazy person to think it. So we're going to have to wrap this up. Not only is our time about up, I'm about out of a battery too. So these devices won't run forever, will they?
Yeah, I hear you. Well, thank you for having me on. If I could drop a plug real quick, on the Red Pill Hardcore TV show, you can catch me on the LibertyBeacon.com. Just search the Red Pill Hardcore, and you'll find all my TV episodes.
And you can look for the links on TruthSec also. We'll be putting those on, won't we?
Please, if you want to host my show, please go ahead. Yes,
we sure will. So we do that with the other shows. I think we all should work together. We're on the same team, so we might as well, right? So, you can look for those links on the TruthSec page. And I think we better wrap it up because I'm fast running out. V, it's great to talk to you. I love talking to you every time. We'll do it again, I promise.
I look forward to it, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.